We're back in the garage the next day where we're going over some important points for cleaning with regard to the electrical system and the good performance of the electrical system. Not just regular electrical contact cleaning, but fundamental areas including main points for the 12 volt and the grounds. Just completed this one down here where the power is provided into the car. We can see these brown wires where they're coupled together. And I have just finished this one way in the back where it was removed. It was cleaned with a brush after the surfaces were sprayed with some deoxit. I like to use deoxit on my amplifiers. And we're going to tighten that one back down. We have several more to go through. Some of them are in some serious condition that need further evaluation. This is often a culprit in electrical problems and charging system problems on these cars.
Masse, schwarze ist die Ground und braune sind die Plus. Beide sind wichtig hier. Und beide Übergangswiderstände sind nicht wirklich mit einem Multimeter messbar.
Ja. So how would they be measured?
Hier fließen Ströme von 20, 30, 40, 50 Ampere.
And just check the performance in the car when it's done like that?
Wir sehen nachher am Voltmeter, wo die Spannung ist. Wir haben jetzt vorher keinen Test gemacht, leider.
Yeah. Well, we've seen what the performance was before we did the cleaning, so we'll see what it looks like afterwards. Okay, let me tighten that one back down. We'll continue. Why?
Weil das Muttern, das sind innen drin Muttern. Im Innenraum, Fahrzeuginnenraum.
Yeah, this could be a problem if we wanted to remove the negative because we would have to get the nut on the back, and that would be problematic. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just clean this up to the best of my ability. I'm going to spray some deoxit on there and hope it penetrates on the inside a bit. That one doesn't look like a serious issue, and I realize I'm being subjective here, and I shouldn't be, but right now we're gonna take a mulligan on the negative here. What I will do, however, is I'm just going to get a little bit of deoxit in here, let it penetrate in the negative, right there. Again, not ideal, but I'm not gonna rip this whole thing up for this one. I've applied anti-corrosive grease to the areas that I finished. These two are now done. We're going to focus our attention now to the alternator as the next area that we're going to be working on. We'll discuss a couple things about the alternator and the connections that are on here. These connecting cables that are under the alternator now will be removed so that they can be cleaned and reconnected as well.
Schau dir mal die Schrauben an.
Yep. Look at the level of corrosion here on this lock washer, on the nut. And now we'll look at the individual cables. And now we can see the corrosion on the individual cables here. And this is directly off of the alternator. So you can imagine how critical this specific point is. And all of these now will be individually cleaned to include the stud coming out of the alternator. It'll be redressed and then reassembled.
Masseverbindung Motor an Chassis, an Rahmen, Frame.
Here's the ground connection coming from the frame to the chassis, from the motor to the chassis here.
Und hier drunter ist Verbindung von der Batterie an Anlasser.
And there's the connection from the battery, the starter.
Da fließt auch viel Strom, aber im Lauf macht das so.
Yeah, and startup obviously uses a lot of energy, but in normal operation, not. Back on for testing. We're going to go down to Ace Hardware and pick up some new ones though. One kleines bisschen. The importance of this particular connection cannot be minimized, right? So great care is taken to clean this and ensure that a connection like this stays clean. And there we go. So this second connection is now clean, completed. Until such time as we replace this nut and washer with the new one from Ace. The next one will be the screw, the ground that goes to the frame. Right here we could see the light shining on it. We could see this one, the screw, the nut, and the connection to the cable on the top side is completely rusted through. I can't imagine that this makes any decent ground whatsoever. So what we're going to do is we're going to rip this one out. We're going to clean the connector. We're going to put a new screw. We're going to clean up the frame area, and then we're going to put some grease over it.
Zu tun hat, fließt hier drüber.
This is providing the ground point for all of the things that run on the inside, the the lights, the fans, and what have you, all of them are tying off right to this point here. So if this ground is not good, it's unsatisfactory, it's going to have a negative effect on all of those circuits in the car. So this ground is pivotal.
Sauber machen, aber da muss von hinten ja auch gegenhalten. Und es ist am besten auf dem Lift gemacht, nicht unterm Auto.
This one we can't really disconnect. We have to hold the other side of it in order to loosen this, and it'd be easier to do on a lift. So we're just going to try and clean this one up as best we can. We're going to leave this one alone for now. Remove the tank here for easier access. Now we have more room to work down here. Get a ratchet or something to hold that while we work from the bottom. Huh? There we go. Pulling out the pieces now of the main ground to the frame. This is the connection here of the wire, right? That's the first piece. I want to show a couple of sections here as we pull them out. Next is the frame itself. I will show. There's the connection on the frame. And here are the nuts and bolts that connected it. These aren't even reusable. We're going to go to Ace, we're going to pick up new ones, and we're going to drop them in. If we could throw these in the garbage. Sieht jetzt gut aus? See, the flat-faced brush and the drill has made easy work of the rust that was down in there. Sprayed it with some deoxit, and now I'm gonna wipe down any remnants of rust that's in there, and then we're gonna clean up this section of the frame a little bit, make it nice again. There we go. The ground point is nice and clean. One more application of deoxit. We get a little light there. One more application of deoxit, and we should be all ready for reassembly. What's cost? Washers.
Okay.
New bolts are now installed, and then we'll put the dielectric grease over them. There we go. Both bolt and frame are completely greased now with the dielectric grease. Open it up, spray it, close back down, put a little grease on it. That's all. Everything's done here now. We're gonna do the reassembly. All these connectors have been cleaned with deoxit. We got the engine compartment all sealed back up except for the cover to put back on the wire harness area for the firewall. There is another very important ground here. It is located by the driver's side wheel. It is where the fan grounds connect. To access it, it is probably best to remove the wheel to do this job. And it's a significant ground because you consider all of the current that goes through those fans, and this is going to be where the fans actually tie off onto the frame. So that's a ground you definitely want to access. The next time I have this car up on the lift, I'm going to be cleaning that ground, probably putting a new nut and bolt on, just like I did on the rear portion of the frame. At that point, I would also be going through some other connectors on the front, such as the air conditioning high and low pressure switch, the horn, and the connection there on the brake, as well as the fuel sending unit, some other things as well, the fuel pump, just to clean those up. Sieht ja gut aus. Beim 14 jetzt steht's.
Gas. Mal so drauf an.
Licht,
Lüfter, scheiß daher, das meine ich.
1, 2.
Ja.
Steht immer noch beim
Lüfter.
Lüfter, Moment.
Gas geben. Nicht perfekt, aber besser als vorher.
I think this concludes our video on some of the important ground point cleanings for the Delorean. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. Would you like to reply?